Happy Wednesday, and you know when it's Wednesday, we have Ask Andrew, but today is a special edition of Ask Andrew because Andrew's not here. It's me and Peter.
There's no Andrew.
There's no Andrew. He's getting some much needed time off,
Yes.
so I'm out here helping fill in for him, and you are here to join me for Ask Andrew because it's so much easier to have two people to do this for sure.
It's a lot more fun.
It is a lot more fun to have somebody here kind of help explain some of the things that we're going to go through weather-wise. So for Ask Andrew today, of course, we are on our A+ streaming app, and then we're also streaming on Facebook, and especially Facebook is a great place to go if you want to kind of join in on the conversation with us, ask questions, you know, like Andrew says, only weather.
Only weather related.
Don't make it weird.
No.
Don't make it weird.
Please no.
But we are going to, we're going to talk a lot about different things. So we're going to go through the forecast, obviously. We have been so nice.
It's been
over the
perfect.
past couple days, just a ton of relief from the humidity that we have been seeing. And so we are going to continue to see some southerly flow though. So that's going to bring in the humidity. However, here's what we're looking at. We have an area of low pressure out towards the Dakotas, and we are seeing a complex of showers and storms push through western Iowa. However, the big question I'd say here for today is, are we going to see that chance even get close to our area? Storm Prediction Center does have a level 1 out of 5 threat for areas along the Mississippi and pointing off to the east, mainly in Iowa. But again, we've been watching it. It doesn't have too much energy.
No.
Yeah, looks pretty isolated. And in fact, even our in-house model doesn't really agree with it either. It wants to completely fizzle out. I think at most we could see the cloud cover. And you know, we're actually out here on the patio, and so we can actually see what the weather is like. We're starting to see some cloud cover here. But it actually feels pretty good out here this morning.
It's pretty comfortable.
For sure.
Yeah.
So like, as you guys know, we're not really utilizing our main studio as much right now because it is under construction. We're really excited. And so they are doing a lot of construction inside. We have construction outside, so hopefully you can't really hear it that much. But it's beautiful out here. I'm not mad to be out here this morning.
I'm not that mad either. And the good news is we're staying a little bit drier today too. I think a reason that system's going to start to taper off is aloft we have a lot drier air.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what stunted yesterday's storm chances. We had those isolated thunderstorm chances yesterday, and even maybe on your Monday.
Yeah, so
staying dry.
Going back to that future track where we do get into the afternoon, I want you to notice those streamlines. The movement of the winds. They're going to become direct south later on this afternoon. With that, we're going to start to increase the humidity. When we get the humidity to increase, it is going to be a lot warmer tonight. So last night we got down to the low 60s. Well, tonight we're only going to get down just below 70 degrees. So it's going to be a much more mild start to the day tomorrow. And here is another thing. With the humidity, we bring in a better environment. So I think we have a better chance for some storm chances tomorrow. The big question is, what time does it come in? Because I know that we've been kind of back and forth on our in-house model.
Yes.
Timing-wise, if this does hold out and it comes in for the afternoon tomorrow, we probably won't make it to 90 degrees or near 90 degrees. I do think we are going to feel the humidity, that's for sure.
Yes.
We just might not be as warm. So speaking of heat, this is a look at the heat index for the next 8 hours. At most, maybe feeling as warm as 90 degrees. So not too bad, but again, it really goes to show that we're ramping up that humidity. We'll see dew point temperatures in the 70s for the second half of the week and going into the weekend. So we're right back to this kind of soupy air that's going to return. But the good news is we're not going to see temperatures like the last go around with heat we had, where we were feeling like the 110s, even 115. I don't think that's going to be the case. Again, if we do see those showers and storms tomorrow, I want you to pay attention to where those temperatures are feeling like in Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, and Washington tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Feeling like just under 70, but closer to the river and on the Illinois side, we're going to feel like the 90s. So again, that just goes to show that if we stay dry, or if we don't see much cloud cover and we stay dry going into the early afternoon hours, then we will see those feels like temperatures pick up. If not, then you can expect it to we'll hold off the heat for a day. What I do have more confidence on for the heat and humidity, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Friday does not look like a super fun day. We are going, I think I updated this. Let me go back here. I had it right there.
Yeah,
okay.
There it is.
So yeah, Friday afternoon, it does look like it's going to be dry. It's going to be humid. and we will see some temperatures get really close to that heat advisory criteria.
Wouldn't be completely surprised, especially further to our west, if we see that come out.
Yeah.
After looking at like the data for Des Moines, your Iowa cities, throughout the week, that trend's been there. Illinois side, I think, is trending in the right direction, which is good, but it's still going to be hot.
Yes, it's still going to be hot no matter what.
And even on your Saturday, that trend is still there as well, thanks to the timing of that shift in the storms too on the weekend.
Yes, and that's going to be something that we're also going to watch closely on the weekend. So I want to show you the 8-day so we can kind of get you a little bit of an early heads up of what you can expect for the weekend, because we know it's Wednesday. We're getting over that hump of the week. Everyone's starting to think about the weekend a little bit more.
Yes.
And there are some thunderstorm chances. I do think most of Saturday does look dry. We're going to have to watch for Sunday, though. Sunday could be interesting. We have a cold front that's going to start to generate. Storm Prediction Center already does have some storm zones for areas pretty far west of us right now, but we don't have anything right now. We're still quite a few days away. But again, with the heat and the humidity, you have the environment there. And if we do get a cold front, then that is going to bring in that potential for maybe some strong winds, heavy rainfall. I think that's going to be the most rain that we could probably see here for the next week too. So we'll definitely keep a close eye out on it, but I'd say your weekend winner is going to be Saturday if you want to have any plans in place, because Sunday, again, it does look like we're going to be talking about some rain chances. And then looking at the 14-day tracker, we just kind of go back and forth here. We're not done with this. We're not done with the heat at all. We're going to continue to see some 90s, but again, what we're about to talk about here in just a couple of minutes is we are at the time of the year where this 14-day tracker might not be as accurate as it usually is.
That's true.
Because of hurricane season. Hurricane season is ramping up, and with that, you start to get some of these systems to come into play, and hurricanes, you know, they can switch paths back and forth, but hurricanes are big enough to actually influence our weather up here.
They are.
And it can impact, you know, whether we're stuck with more heat or if we see the heat move out sooner. So this could start to fluctuate a little bit more here over the next couple of months, because peak hurricane season is definitely coming up.
Yes.
Before we do get into that, I do want to give you an update on our smoke or air quality, because that's been a big thing.
I noticed it over the weekend especially. You kind of felt heavy in your lungs. You know?
I kind of felt it in my eyes if it was getting down into the surface, but I definitely felt it in the lungs a lot. It got pretty heavy here for a couple days.
And the skies too. The sunsets, I will say, the smoke isn't great, but the sunsets, where it gets that kind of orangish color.
It makes for some really cool picturesque sunsets. That's the silver lining to it. It's definitely not good, but I do want to give you a look at the smoke for us for today. So this is a look at this morning. We still have the concentration there. It's not noticeable as much, but once we get to the afternoon, you can see we kind of basically completely get the smoke out of here. And that's because of that southerly flow. And that's going to continue here as we head into your Thursday and Friday as well. Air quality wise, it's moderate to unhealthy for some, mainly on that unhealthy side the closer you are to northern Illinois. But again, as we get into the afternoon, I think this is going to greatly improve once we really get those direct southerly winds, and that should help begin to push things a little farther north. All right, let's take a look at the tropics. So I'm going to have you were talking about this yesterday.
Yeah, we were talking about the tropics yesterday. There's a couple little potential development systems we're looking at. The first already did develop into a tropical storm. This is our fourth of the year, Dexter. We have Dexter, who has developed, and it's not going to be making any kind of push towards land. It looks like it's staying kind of out back towards the Atlantic. This is kind of that hook we like to kind of typically see.
Yeah, it doesn't impact us. It's out in the ocean.
It's technically met the criteria, so even though if it's not making its way to land, it still can be considered a tropical storm. And that's what we saw, and you can see it's kind of pushing its way out back towards Europe, out towards, let's say, Greenland up there. That's kind of the direction it's heading, but still not looking to make any landfall. It looks to dissipate right as we get towards right around midday on Friday. There is a couple other zones we are watching, though, and that one is currently kind of off the coast of the Carolinas right now. That's where we see that low developing. Again, as of right now, doesn't look like it's going to be making its way towards land as of yet. It still hasn't developed. It's just a potential wash that we're keeping an eye on.
And I was looking at the National Hurricane Center, and the one that's off the coast of the Carolinas, I think they only have about a 40% chance for development. So again, not too bad. It's something to watch, but could bring some, unsettling weather to the coast just for a little bit. But Shouldn't be anything too impactful. We'll definitely watch that other disturbance that is just off the coast of Africa. That's kind of where we see most of our hurricanes begin to form, with that Saharan dust and, again, the movement of the winds. That one has a 60% chance of development. So we're definitely starting to see...
Get a little more active.
Get a little more activity out there in the Atlantic. And again, I want to note, people, that hurricane season, it does start around mid-May. But we usually don't see a lot of the activity ramp up until we get the waters to really become...
Warm up.
Yes.
You need that environment.
Warm up. So peak hurricane season happens in the middle of September.
Yes.
That's when we really start to see things a lot more active. So we still have another month. We're already starting to see things pick up.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys remember, but there was... they did forecast it to be an overly
above,
active.
Yeah. Just a little bit above average. Not as bad as last year.
No.
Last year had think about 2 or 3, maybe 2 more, I think. Cat 3 or higher forecasted hurricanes. This year, I think it's only maybe 1 or 2 above average. Still a little bit more active, but we'll see. And also that Saharan dust you were talking about, that was actually further out towards, the Americas earlier this year, which limited that development earlier. That was something really interesting too. Did you know that dust reached as far as Texas?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, if you get the wind pattern just correctly, and you get enough plume of that dust to be able to pick up, it can carry its way all the way to the Americas. But again, it's crazy to think about how complex hurricanes are, because not only do they use that dust to form, but that dust can also
limit it.
So it's kind of a perfect balance when it comes to hurricanes. Again, they're very complex, very, very, very difficult to understand systems, but they're definitely fun to track. And so far, we're pretty quiet here in the States, so that's the good news. Now, of course, when we're talking about hurricanes, one of the biggest things that we're always worried about is rainfall, and we have definitely gotten our fair share of rain here, especially in July. I have thoroughly enjoyed the past week. It's been crazy to not really talk about rain chances, but I know that we are still kind of seeing some concerns of river flooding on some of our tributary rivers, especially the Wapsie, which the Wapsie is... It's the first one that's going to get overwhelmed for sure. So it is expected to hit major flood stage by the time we get to tomorrow afternoon, especially if we do see
rainfall.
Yes, that rainfall tomorrow. That could definitely help push it. Good news is it does rapidly fall, but something that we're going to have to watch out for is some rain chances for this weekend. Here's a look at the current flood warnings across our area. Again, you have the Wapsie just off to the north, and then we have, oh gosh, which river is that?
That's a good question. I'm blinking right now.
I know.
Let's pull this up.
Anyway, some areas near Muscatine as well, seeing a couple of flood warnings. Usually I'm only talking about the Wapsie.
It's the Cedar, that's what it is.
The Cedar River, yes.
I knew it was.
Yes, the Wapsie or the Rock, but right now the Rock is still looking pretty good.
Yes.
But looking at our rain chances, with this heat and humidity ramping up, we're also going to start to talk about rain chances again. Now tomorrow we do have that isolated to scattered chance. We're going to watch it pretty closely. But going into this weekend, I do think Saturday night into Sunday is when we could see a potential for some pretty heavy rainfall, actually getting some decent measurements out of it. Maybe bringing back another 1 to 2 inches.
Yeah, model agreements.
Yeah.
Timing's still up in the air. I mean, it's been trending towards pretty much a little bit more agreement, as you said, Saturday night into Sunday. But it looks like it could continue into Sunday afternoon as well. And even model agreements are showing totals kind of nearing that number. And
yeah, and I think that's something we're going to watch here closely over the next couple of days, because again, this is coming along a cold front. So timing, if it does come in Saturday night to Sunday, we won't be as worried about a severe weather potential.
Yes.
It would just be heavy rainfall.
Yes, excessive.
However, if we do see that kind of get delayed a little bit or speed up.
One of the two.
Yeah, one of the two. If we get a little more daytime heating, a little more storm energy with it, then we will potentially see that threat for some severe weather. And again, with a cold front, your immediate thought is going to be damaging winds.
Damaging winds, typically.
So we'll keep a close eye out on that too. But here's a look at the future track rainfall, at least through the week, into the weekends, and into early next week. So this is,
there it goes.
We have some of our long range models kind of starting to agree that there could be some heavy pockets of rain getting up to around 2 to 3 inches. And again, most of this is going to come in on the weekend. We're still quite a few days away. It's still going to take some time to fine tune that.
Yep.
but something that we will for sure be keeping an eye on. So again, zooming in there's a pretty good swath of some pretty heavy rain for some of our hometowns.
Yep.
Okay.
One thing to take into account too is these are the global models,
yes.
which aren't as detailed.
Yes.
Or contoured. So
yes.
we're seeing this large swath of rainfall right now. The good news is when you're looking at these global models compared to the high resolution or those short-term models like the house models,
yes.
sometimes blows things up just a little bit more.
Yes.
That's like when you see the maps that we're showing, for example, where it shows everyone getting rainfall, but we still have scattered thunderstorm chances. Kind of take it with not a grain of salt, but it's
take it with a grain of salt. I don't love using, the longer range models when we're talking about actual rain chances because it does look like all of Iowa and all of Illinois is going to get rain, but that's not the case.
No.
It's just the way of the resolution of the models, and when you're this far away, you're kind of trying to read the models the best you can. So it's something that we will be watching, and I'd say by Friday we'll have a much better idea of the timing and impacts of what we could see for this weekend. All right, last but not least, before we start to take some of your questions, again, we are on Facebook. You can get on Facebook, and that's a great way to join in on the conversation. Last week, we did see a funnel cloud pop up in Aledo.
Yeah.
And something that I want to talk about is we were seeing some unsettling weather at the time, and we weren't expecting any tornadic activity. But I want to talk about how common funnel clouds can be.
It really can be.
It's something we can call cold air funnels, and even with these like little storms that even pop up, you can see these funnel clouds too. So I will say, if you ever see a funnel cloud, it is always great to just practice the precaution and almost treat it like a tornado could form.
And if it does touch ground,
yes, then it is a tornado.
It technically is a tornado, even though typically these cold spouts form maybe 40-mile-per-hour winds. It can still cause some damage, but still.
They're usually weak, and especially with those little skinny funnel clouds.
Yeah, they're little big.
They're little skinny ones. So with the funnel clouds like that, that even if it does touch the ground, it should be a pretty quick, pretty weak tornado. But it's not to say that it's not possible. Again, even on days where we don't even have any rain in the area, we can get funnel clouds. So what happens is if we have warm air at the surface and it quickly rises, and you have quite a bit of cloud cover in the area, and you just get the environment to be right and interact with that cold air that's aloft, you can kind of stretch and spin that column. You can get some condensation, and it kind of will show that funnel cloud formed. They're pretty cool to see, especially when you see them. There's no rain in the area. It's eerie because it's like, why is this happening? But again, like we said, definitely treat every funnel cloud like it could be. Just watch it.
Caution.
But send pictures in because we love seeing the pictures. And again, the National Weather Service likes to know as well. We always share those with our friends at the service, so they can also report it themselves.
Yeah. Something interesting with them too is just how they form. It's such a micro scale event.
It is. It is so
They're
small.
So tiny. It's just
and it takes
little amounts of shear in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Just one little switch with some
and
divergence, and it goes.
You got to think about the column of air that it's forming in, and it's just that specific column that has the perfect ingredients. It's a fascinating thing to wrap your mind around.
Yes.
All right, so we are going to start. Once I know you have the questions pulled up.
Want me to just start rattling away?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's get going. Phil in Davenport asks, are we done with the worst of the heat for the summer? Or are more waves coming? And I'll show him that 14-day because
I'll show you the 14-day, but
it fluctuates. But
I think when we're talking about heat, like we had multiple days of feeling like 110, I think that it's not to say it's not possible.
No.
It's going to get a little harder now to hit that criteria, especially as we get closer to the middle to end of August.
Yes.
That's kind of when we start to see, we lose about an hour of daylight during this month. You have to think about that. Less daylight, less daytime heating. It just takes a little bit longer, or it's just, it's a lot more difficult to reach that criteria. But you can see on this 14-day, we're still going to be very warm. Yeah. We're still going to be very warm. We still have pockets of upper 80s and around 90 degrees. But again, so you can expect it to still feel like 100. So I guess it really just depends on your take of what is the worst. We can handle 100. It's not fun.
Yeah, I don't mind the drier heat too. It feels like home. Feels like home.
The dryer heat is fantastic.
It's awesome.
It actually feels really good out here right now.
It feels fantastic.
I'm just thinking about it. It just feels, we have a nice breeze.
Another thing to take into account too is we're nearing the end of the tassel season. So corn sweat is going to start to
say that
as well. So we're going to see less humidity, not only, because our patterns in the southerly flow kind of changes a little bit, but also the corn sweat, the added moisture just from that alone is going to decrease as well.
Yeah, so during like, a couple during a lot of July, we had a lot of miserable days, but that's because we not only had the moisture inflow coming from the Gulf, we also had the moisture inflow just coming from the corn that we're surrounded by, and it's just two things coming together, and it's just one big, massive, moist air mass over us. And like Peter said, that the tassel stage of the corn is starting to go down. We're kind of in that sweet corn season, which is great. I love it.
And you go to the farmer's market.
But yeah, so we're not going to see as much moisture production from the corn, which is good. So we'll have to mainly kind of go off the Gulf's vibes of seeing that moisture.
All right, Mary in Clinton was wondering how much rain are we expecting over the next few days? Any significant rain from the isolated storm chances?
Yeah, we'll go right back to that rainfall graphic. Just to show what one of our long range models is pushing out at least through the upcoming weekend, because at least through the week, your rain chances are going to be pretty minimal. Heading into the weekend, that's when we could see maybe a better chance for some measurable rain. Now, the good news is we have been fairly dry for the past week, so we've allowed our ground to begin to dry out. The Wapsi will be peaking here soon, and it'll have a couple days to kind of, reseed and hopefully not get too overwhelmed again. But we still see some heavy pockets of rain possible, especially going into Sunday. That'll be something that we watch out for.
It's a day to watch kind of on the forecast. So, Billy, hello, Billy. Always good to hear from you. Good morning to you as well. He wants to know, is a winter storm probability map, or will a winter storm, do you think, sorry, I just can't read, my goodness. Do you think that a winter storm probability map will be made similar to the SPC severe weather probability map?
So I believe we have...
They have the winter storm index.
Yes, the winter storm index. It's on the Weather Prediction Center.
I believe so. I know we have a graphic with it.
Yes.
I don't know if
it won't show anything because we're not in the winter. Yeah. But the Weather Prediction Center is probably the best place to go to for looking at, like, if you're somebody who likes to go and look at the National Weather Service products or NOAA products. The Storm Prediction Center definitely just focuses on the severe weather part of everything. The Weather Prediction Center is where I would go for anything snow. So it does have a winter storm severity index to kind of give you an idea of how severe it thinks, or the people who work for the Weather Prediction Center will think how bad it's going to get. But not only that, you can see probabilities of 1 inch of rain, or 1 inch of snow, 2 inches of snow, 4 inches of snow, 6 inches of snow, and so on and so forth for a couple days out. So the Weather Prediction Center is definitely the best place to go to for winter stuff. But hopefully we are not talking about anything winter stuff for a long time, please.
No, I did just see, so I was just kind of digging around yesterday, looking at stuff, and the fall forecast came out, the 90-day, and pretty much the whole nation is trending to be above average. Typical with temperatures, right? That's that trend.
What about the precipitation?
Precipitation right about average.
Okay.
So good news is if you aren't a winter fan, probably trending a little bit later in the year.
Yeah, and that seems to be more typical too as of late, is we stay fairly warm at least through November. A lot of the times our Decembers haven't been that bad.
Oh, last couple of Decembers, aside from like that one big storm I think you told me about, was before I got here, like 3-4 years ago, there was one big December snowstorm.
We had
where's that, the derecho?
We had a derecho in December.
Okay.
2 years ago, I think.
Okay.
And then with the one like snow thing that points out to me, at least before December, was back in 2019 when we had 3 inches of snow on Halloween.
Oh yes, I heard about that.
That was crazy. Yeah. But yeah, hopefully we're not talking about that for a while. Michelle, off work the next couple of days, jealous. You're right there with Andrew.
So you and Andrew having time off together.
Enjoying it. Viewer asks, what causes a microburst?
Ooh.
So when we're talking about microbursts, we're talking about kind of just a big rush of wind, basically.
Yeah.
And it's usually associated with thunderstorms. And there's quite a few different things that can cause a microburst. The biggest thing is going to be rainfall.
Rainfall.
Yeah.
Kind of cooled air too. Those little
Yes.
pushes out of that cool air, meeting up the warm air.
Yeah. So you get this
divergence.
so you have to think about it. You know, rainfall. If you're taking a big column of air, say you're taking the size of Moline, just around downtown Moline. Picture that column of air.
Not that big.
Imagine how much rain
That is true though.
and how heavy, how much water. That's a lot of water. That's pretty heavy.
A lot.
So you have to think about it. It's pulling down, and it can kind of tap into those upper level winds that are usually faster, and it kind of drags it down with it. And that's where you kind of get those really, intense gusts of winds randomly.
Little divergence.
Yes.
I like to call it.
Oh yeah.
So fun. But yeah, those cold pools really are what cause that. And actually, I was looking at it. There's a little tiny cold pool associated with Thursday.
Yeah.
It's nothing significant on a stark difference in temperatures, but I was looking at the upper level heights right around 850, or it's kind of like the second level of the atmosphere beyond the surface. It's kind of what we like to think of.
Yeah, it's where we kind of watch most of our thunderstorm activity.
Exactly, yeah, right around 850 millibars,
Yeah.
we call it. But there's a little tiny cold pool that's, creating that thunderstorm development, exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting tomorrow because from what our in-house model is kind of putting out from this morning, if that verifies, here, we can show this real quick of what we're talking about for tomorrow. Let's get this up here.
Future track.
Okay, so Thursday afternoon, right here. So if this kind of pans out, what I'm seeing is it kind of forms together in a line, a little bit of like a bow signature right here along the river. So that's a good indicator that we could see that the potential is there for some gusty winds, and you could potentially see a microburst tomorrow.
Yes.
That's a definite potential too. But, the problem is with, today we're kind of battling in between two different air masses. We're kind of transitioning here. We're trying to build in the storm energy because most of it has been well off to our west.
Yes.
So we're going to keep watching this. We'll keep you updated. Of course, James will I'll have another update here at 11. Peter's going to be here watching all day and just keeping himself informed and letting you guys know if anything changes. But, okay, we got a couple more questions in a couple more minutes.
We can squeak through these. Yeah, Sadie was wondering, when will we finally get a break from the humidity?
So generally speaking, just kind of like we were saying we're almost past the most humid time of the year. When we're in July and you have the corn in that mature state and it is just pumping out moisture, it's when it's going to be the most humid. Now we're kind of starting to get to the end of that.
Yes.
We're getting to the end of that phase. So we're going to start to be able to see more days of relief, kind of like what we saw last weekend, where dew point temperatures actually felt good. It actually felt amazing. Usually in July, even if we get northerly winds, the corn is keeping us humid.
So hot and humid.
Yes, and so now we're going to start to see more days where it's actually comfortable to be outside. So
more Canadian highs too. We get those starker temperature differences further to the north. So when we get those high pressures from the north, before we still stay
drags
humid,
down that
but it brings the drier air.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Michelle, I'm still waiting for a blizzard like back in '79 that we had.
No.
I hear my mom talk about it all the time, and I don't want it.
I don't really want to know either.
I don't want it.
I don't think you really
want to know.
Snow.
I know. You don't want that.
We had a light snow year. Like, I haven't driven in like a foot of snow yet, so I still have to experience that.
We'll get there when we get there. Okay. We got 1 more minute, so we'll do one more question. Beth and Moline asks, what's a safe heat index for kids at recess? That's a really good question.
That is.
Because I think it doesn't take much to be overexerted in heat. I'd say, honestly, for children especially, if they're not
80s,
the
maybe
best
90s?
about staying hydrated.
As I say, if you're not hydrated, upper 80s, 90s can even get to you.
That's kind of where,
for 30 minutes.
And especially if it's really humid outside, and you do get the humidity in, I'd say anywhere from, I'd say 95 to 100 is when it kind of starts to get a little more concerning. But that is a really good question. Again, it's more of a, it definitely can exert them, I think, a little harder, because especially kids are playing harder outside.
Yeah.
They play way harder than us.
They run for 30 minutes straight. I don't get it.
I know, and even when it's super hot and humid. So yeah, I would definitely say it's a little bit more, it fluctuates more for them than for us.
Yes.
You know. So yeah, that was a good question. But yes, thank you so much for joining in for the weather anchor Peter and I, and we are going to sign off here. But of course, you can join us every Wednesday for Ask Andrew, Ask Peter, Ask Morning, whoever is here. I know I'll be here next Wednesday, or you and I will both be here next Wednesday. I'm trying to calculate this. Maybe.
We'll figure it out.
I will be here next Wednesday. I know that.
99%.
We're 99%. Yes. Regardless, though, thank you for joining us on this Ask Andrew special for this Wednesday. We hope you guys have a fantastic afternoon.
Continue with us and watch free now on the 8 Plus app everywhere you stream.